to call the meeting to order this evening, and I would ask Mrs. Bruno, would you like to say the prayer this evening?
My pleasure. Loving God, as we come together tonight for the city of Waterville, we pause to ask you to be with us and guide our way. May your spirit of peace surround all we say and do this evening. We ask for your strength to do what is best for the good of Waterville. Lord God, as servants of your people, we pray that you grant us a share of your wisdom. Amen.
Amen.
And I would ask, before we rise for the pledge, we have some very special visitors this evening, Troop 101, and I have asked if they would lead us in the pledge. But first, why don't you guys come up, and we talked about how we're on YouTube and things. You can all come up, and I think you should say your name real quick at the podium so they know you were here and be on it.
Hi, I'm Nicholas Wacha.
All right.
Hello.
You can stay up there
Funk.
too.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
I didn't get your name.
she's
My
taking
name is Aiden Funk.
Aiden Funk.
My name is Ian Rapp. My name is Ben Bowen. My name is Nathan Carpenter.
My name's Danny Gee.
My name's Blake Reed.
My name's Matthew Carpenter.
My name's Adrian Williamson.
And we have their leaders there too.
I'm Gary Williamson. And I'm Steve Wacha.
And they are doing their citizenship tonight, right?
Yeah.
And they are preparing these boys for something big. They were just telling me they hope to go to Philmont next year.
Yes, next summer.
Yeah, this coming summer, which will come quick. And quite a few of them, so that's a huge group, another big group for Waterville. So we wish them well on that. But anyway, we would love to have you lead us in the pledge. So we'll, Ryan. Thank you, guys. Good luck. Roll call, please.
Here?
Here.
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 Thank you. First, we have our approval of minutes, the regular council meeting from November 26, 2018. We need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Do we have any changes or corrections in the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have citizens' comments, and I do not think I have any up here. Do I have any in the audience? No? All right, moving on to staff reports. First, we have our administrator, Mr. Bagdonis.
Thank you, Mayor. Council members have a copy of my report. I don't have anything to add at this time. I believe I will have some comments for some later items on the agenda.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for our administrator? All right, next we have our law director, Mr. Dombey.
No report tonight, Your Honor.
All right, our finance director, Mr. Gilkina.
No report tonight, Your Honor.
Wait a minute. Is everything okay? All right. Mark that date down over there, Melissa. Next we have our treasurer.
I guess since he doesn't have a report, I have to.
Yeah, all right. I know we had something, huh?
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. I believe you have a copy of my October report with you. And you can see as of the end of October, we were at about $6,650,000 in cash and investments that we had at that point in time. We're up about $50,000 over the prior month, but I know Mr. Bagdonis and I have written some big checks, or have signed some big checks the last month and a half, so that number's going to be coming down. But again, right now, $6,650,000 at the end of October. You'll see that the general fund stayed about constant, and then you'll just see the capital fund went down by a fair amount, and the water and sewer fund went up about that same amount, and that's because of the $200,000 advance that was approved by council at the previous council meeting. So, again, all the numbers make sense, and that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Any question? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next we have our police chief, who is back.
And just to dispense any rumors, Phil and I did not get together on the ensemble tonight. It just happened. Just one item tonight, but it kind of dovetails with something that came up the last meeting then in November. For some time now, we've been working in the department to try to update written directives. The manual that we have is fairly old. It's got a lot of old directives in it. And frankly, things have changed. So we worked for quite a while and had actually made quite a bit of headway. Got a lot of pages done, developing a new manual. But what we discovered was we weren't able to keep up with changes. You know, we'd get a section written and move on to the next section. And if we had a break in there where we had to move on to other things and then come back to it, you had to reacquaint yourself with what you did. And you found out that something changed, a new law, a new court decision, some change in technology, but something had changed. And we just weren't making the headway we wanted to get it done. So did some research, and I came up with a company called Lexipol. This was back in late September, early October. And did a little research on them, and they offer a what they call a knowledge management system instead of a policy or written directives. And what they do is they start you out with a basic manual. It's boilerplate stuff, but it's all based on best practices. And you fill in a questionnaire so that they know what to fill in the blanks with, where to insert Waterville Police Department, and where to insert, you know, do you call your shift changes, you call it shift change, you call it roll call. Departments have differences. That's just the starting point. You can't just take a manual like that and plug in the name in the right places and throw it out there, because departments do have differences in their structure and how they operate. The cities are different. So from that point, then you start going, bless you, you start going through each policy and conforming it to your department, but while staying in line with the original policy that Lexipol has provided, so you don't move away from those best practices. Also, there's some policies in there that you just have to pull out and not use. Things that we don't have. We don't have an aviation unit, a marine patrol, a mounted patrol, crime scene units, detectives. So those policies you pull out and set aside so they don't end up in your final manual. So that's where we are now. I have another, I've had 2 sessions with them using, if you're familiar with GoToMeeting, but online sessions with them, training how to actually do the revisions, but also how the thing is set up. And I have another one on Wednesday. It's sort of a kickoff meeting to get things going. The idea is we'll probably start with the high liability issues, use of force, pursuits, search and seizure, those things that can get us in trouble easily. And then once those are in place and issued, then we'll move to this kind of the second tier stuff, which is pretty much everything else. What we'll end up with, and the goal is it takes a couple of months to go through all this, but what we'll end up with is an up-to-date policy manual, which Lexipol then makes sure that we stay up to date with any changes that come about. Like I said, laws, changes in court decisions, things coming out of the state, so that we don't get behind on anything. And at the same time, they issue monthly training bulletins, which keep your staff fresh also, and they have to go through periodically and go through these bulletins. And there's a checks and balances in the system where you can actually see who's completed and who hasn't, who's read the policies, who hasn't. So it's a complete package. I brought this to Jim's attention back end of October, just before I went out on medical leave. And we actually signed the contract with them on November 1st. They countersigned on the 5th. And so, like I said, I have another meeting, online meeting on Wednesday, and we'll get rolling from there and start getting these policies rolled out. My goal is to have it done before I go. I hope to have it done a whole lot sooner than that, but the goal is that when I leave, when I retire next summer, that I leave behind a complete, up-to-date policy manual that my successor can then just pick up and take care of from there. Any questions?
Questions? Yes.
Not a question. I just wanted to point out one other item that, as was discussed at the previous council meeting about a citizen complaint form, we actually already had one, although it was not on our website, and that form is now on the website.
Yep.
And available.
Yeah, it was a department complaint form we had in PDF format. It's not a fill-in online. You got to print it and fill it out and sign it. But yeah, it's up there. Thank you.
Any other questions? What, Mr.
Mayor,
Pedro?
if I may, welcome back, Chief.
Thanks.
Good to see you. We're not going to run any marathons tonight, right? We're going to.
Or ever again.
Well, that's 2 of us then. No, as Jim mentioned, I know there have been some comments about the form. I appreciate it. The only comment I'll make is we had a great police and safety force here in this community, and I think that all of us are very thankful for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'll take more comments like that.
Yeah. Or comments?
I'll give you the same comment, Chief, so there you have it.
next we have our acting fire chief, Doug Meyer.
Good evening. With the transition period, I don't have a whole lot to report this time as we're still trying to gather that information. If you've noted in the report, the double tone runs, there was only 3 this time, so the numbers are coming down. So, other than that, I don't have a whole lot to report. I do know that we are taking the new ambulance next week, so we should be getting delivery of that new vehicle. And anticipated to get, if we have it, we'll try to get it to the next council meeting in January.
All right, thanks. Any questions?
When do you expect the new ambulance to arrive?
We're anticipating the 13th, so hopefully this week.
And then will it be in service shortly thereafter?
Shortly thereafter, we'll have to restock it. We have to get the cot moved from our current ambulance to the new ambulance, and then it'll go in service.
And then the current ambulance becomes the backup?
No, it'll be moved to a utility vehicle.
That's right, you did say that earlier, okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Nope. Thank you. Our Public Works Director, Mr. Blair.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. You have a copy of my report, as well as a project list. I really don't have anything to add to that. I just want to mention that for all intents and purposes, leaf collection was to end today. However, for the people that haven't raked their leaves out yet, we have 1 unit that we're going to keep in service the rest of this week, and that's probably going to be it. So just, anybody says anything, tell them to rake them out the curb.
Get them right.
Get it done.
Yeah. Pretty much since the last meeting, we've been working on the lead collection as well as the preparations for the holiday lights in downtown area. That's took up almost all of our time, so I don't have really anything to add in my report. I do have a couple thank yous, and normally I do this earlier. It kind of slipped by me, but for the people that worked on the gardens in town, I want to mention the Countryside Garden Club. They planted and maintained Pioneer Point out here on Mechanic and 3rd Street. Nielsen's Landscaping, they took care of the planting of not only Prairie Park, but also the point at Michigan Farnsworth Road. And then a thank you to the Waterville Arts Council for taking care of the planters in the downtown area. They were also all recognized on our website.
Thank you.
Other than that, that's all I have. And on behalf of myself and all the Public Works employees, we'd like to wish you a happy holiday season. So.
Thank you, Ken. And the lights look really nice down on downtown
Yeah, here you
area.
can see them from the space shuttle.
Yeah, nice and bright. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions? Nope. All right, next we have communications from council. Start with Mrs. Duncan.
No report this evening.
Mr. Pedro?
Just a couple things to the Scouts 101. I think you've got a great plan going to Philmont next summer, right? So this old guy made it there many years ago. And to the dads, start working, man. It's but no, it's a great experience. And my only suggestion, besides planning it like you are doing, is pack lightly. You'll be amazed at the end of the day, not the first night, but the second night and third night, of how heavy that backpack is. So you don't need 2 of everything. Share it. It's a good role model. It's a great program, so congratulations. The other thing is thanks to Kenny Blair and to the Waterville Historical Society and other volunteers that created a nice festive downtown Waterville. It looks very, very nice down there. And also to the holiday dinner we had last week with the staff. I enjoyed it. The food was excellent. Jim, I don't think you cooked it. No, you weren't here. That's right. But anyways, you know, it was a great event. And thanks to all those that put that on. That's all I have, Mayor, for right now.
Thank you. Mr. Rosie?
Mayor, thank you. I would just extend my wishes for a very happy and Merry Christmas and a healthy and safe and prosperous New Year for all of our staff and administration and, of course, all of Waterville. Thank you.
Thank you.
No report this evening.
All right, Mrs. Bruno?
No report, Mayor.
Mr. Bruno?
Yep, Mayor, actually, we had a Parks and Recreation meeting not too long ago, and we are actually looking into seeing if we can put bike racks in the area where the new Kroger is.
Oh.
And spoke to Kenny Blair about it, and we were maybe even looking into some ODNR grants regarding those bike racks. So that's what we were able to accomplish at our last Parks and Recreation meeting. And I'd also like to extend happy holidays to everyone here.
Thank you. Sounds like a good idea up there. All right, I have one item. I have a few appointments, being the end of the year, to some of our commissions. The Historic District Commission, John Pizzino, he has served on there, and he has agreed to serve another 3-year term. On the Planning Commission, we have 2 spots. John Wasserman, those are 4-year terms, and Will Burns, and they have both served and done a good job for us on the Planning Commission. So you should receive that in your packet. And I would just like to make a motion that we appoint these 3 people to those commissions.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next, we have our old business. We have the formation of a Union Cemetery District as our first item. And the next meeting, I believe, has not happened. And Mr. Bagdonis, do you have anything new on that?
The next meeting will be Wednesday of this week.
All right, should have more information after that. Anybody have any comments on that for the meeting this week? No? Next, we have ordinance 23-18, the ordinance accepting the annexation of the territory proposed for annexation by the petition filed by Philip L. Dombey, agent Miller Browning, on July 11th, 2018, with the Lucas County Board of Commissioners. Our first reading was November 13th, 2018. Second reading was held November 26th. Third reading and legislative action is scheduled for this evening, December 10th. And I don't think we have anything new to add to that. We discussed it at the first 2 readings, so we would just need a motion.
I'll move.
All right.
Second.
I'll make a second. All right, any further discussion? All right, roll call.
Mayor Brody?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mrs. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Pedro?
Yes.
Mrs. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Rogan?
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we have Resolution 60-18, a resolution approving and adopting the City of Waterville FY 2019 5-year capital planning program for all municipal funds and departments. And we discussed that previously as well. Do we have any questions or updates this evening? Any questions from council? We've normally, most recently, passed that with the operating budget, so we still have a few meetings to do that. All right, we'll leave that. Next, under new business, we have a referral to the Planning Commission. It's the rezoning of 7115 Waterville Monclova Road from A1 to R1 and special use permit application for new Waterville United Methodist Church. Mr. Bagdonis, do you have an update on that?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We have received an application from the church for a change of zoning for this property. This is the vacant parcel just north of the fire station on Waterville Monclova Road. And to start the review of this change, a referral by council is needed at this time. Next planning commission meeting is January 7th.
Thank you. Any questions, council? If not, we need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion?
I'm just wondering, R1 and a special use, is that the best way to do it for the zoning?
There's a variety of ways to do it. They all really follow the same process. Any of the combinations would be equally restrictive, and the special use permit really will contain the details of how the site is developed. So this is what they've applied for. Certainly the planning commission may recommend something different, and council ultimately can choose to do something different, but a church is a permissible special use.
Special use in R1. Thanks.
Any other questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Next, we have ordinance 25-18, an ordinance amending the municipal zoning map of the city of Waterville by establishing the permanent zoning of certain recently annexed property located on the west side of the Anthony Wayne Trail, north of Canal Road. Andrew and Jennifer Wren property, parcel number 9133926, as R1 Residence District. This is our first reading. Our second reading is scheduled for January 14th, and our third reading, public hearing, and legislative action scheduled for January 28th. Mr. Bagdonis, do you have an update on that one?
Yes, thank you. We've dealt with this property a couple times previously through the annexation process. The next step, now that it will be officially in the city, is to establish what the code refers to as permanent zoning. A parcel, once it's annexed, receives a temporary zoning in the city closest to what it was in the township prior to annexation. So this is the process to take a look at the parcel and determine what the permanent zoning in the city should be. At the December 3rd meeting, the Planning Commission recommended that the property be zoned R1. Prior to annexation, it was zoned agricultural in Waterville Township. There's a map showing it attached to the ordinance.
Thank you. Do we have any questions this evening? Got two more readings. All right. Next is ordinance 26-18, ordinance amending the municipal zoning map of the city of Waterville by establishing the permanent zoning of certain recently annexed property located on the south side of Minneapolis Waterville Road, Miller and Browning property as A1 Agricultural District. This is our first reading scheduled this evening, December 10th. Our second reading is scheduled for January 14th. Our third reading and public hearing and legislative action will be scheduled for January 28th. Is there any new information on that one?
Thank you, Mayor. Everything I just said on the last ordinance also applies to this ordinance. The difference is this property is on the south side of Minneapolis Waterville Road. It was recently annexed. It's owned, part of it's owned by the Browning Masonic community and part by the Miller family. In this case, it was zoned agricultural in Waterville Township, and the Planning Commission did vote to recommend that it be zoned A1 in the city.
Thank you. Any questions on that? This evening, council, we have two more readings. All right. Ordinance 27-18 is an ordinance adopting the annual appropriations for the municipality of Waterville for fiscal year ending December 31st, 2019, and repealing ordinance number 28-18 and declaring an emergency. First reading scheduled for December 10th. Second reading public hearing is scheduled January 14th. Third reading and legislative action scheduled for January 28th. And Mr. Bagdonis, do you have any comments on that one?
Very briefly at this time, you have a copy of the proposed appropriations in your packet. Finance Committee reviewed this at their November 16th meeting and unanimously recommends approval. Typically, we haven't had extensive discussion on the appropriations until the public hearing, which would be at the next council meeting. So if there's any questions, we'll entertain them at this time. Otherwise, there'll probably be a much more extensive discussion at the next meeting.
Thank you. Council, do we have any questions this evening on the operating budget? I'm sure you've studied all that, or you might want to wait for Christmas break to study it. All right. All right, that'll be on our agenda for January. Next, we have ordinance 28-18, ordinance adopting temporary appropriations for the municipality of Waterville for the months of January and February of 2019 and repealing ordinance number 29-18 and declaring an emergency. And this is what we need to do because we will not approve our next budget until the end of January or later. So anything to add, Mr. Bagdonis?
No, as you just mentioned, until the 2019 appropriations are passed, we still have bills to pay, and so this temporary appropriation will allow us to continue to meet our financial obligations during those couple of months before the actual appropriations get approved. And this is a routine piece of legislation.
Right. So does anybody have any questions on this? Have in place? All right, we need to do this as an emergency, so I'll move that the rules be suspended to allow for the passage of ordinance number 28-18 as an emergency measure.
Second?
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mayor Brody?
Yes.
Mrs. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Petro?
Yes.
Mrs. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Rosick?
Yes.
Now I'll move for final passage of ordinance number 28-18, first and final reading as an emergency measure.
Second?
Any discussion? All right, roll call.
Mr. Rosick?
Yes.
Mrs. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Petro?
Yes.
Mrs. Duncan?
Yes.
Mayor Brody?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, next we have ordinance 29-18, an ordinance amending ordinance number 22-18, the amended FY 2018 annual appropriations ordinance and declaring an emergency. So this is Mr. Bagdonis. Do you have that?
Thank you. This is another routine piece of legislation. We refer to it as the end of the year cleanup legislation, where the line item budgets are adjusted and conform to the approved appropriations.
Thank you. Do we have any questions on this? Nope. All right, and this one is an emergency. So I'll move that the rules be suspended to allow for the passage of ordinance 29-18 as an emergency measure.
Second.
All right, roll call.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mrs. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mayor Brody?
Yes.
Mrs. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Rosick?
Yes.
Mr. Petro?
Yes.
Now I'll move for the final passage of ordinance number 29-18, first and final reading as an emergency measure.
Second.
Any further questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Petro?
Yes.
Mr. Rosick?
Yes.
Mrs. Bruno?
Yes.
Mayor Brody?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mrs. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Thank you. Wow, took care of a lot of. Oh, yes, yes. Sorry, council, we must back up. I turned it over on my desk. I have an extra one I need to add on, to make a motion to appoint Chuck Larkins, Charles Larkins, as our TARDA board representative. It is a, 3-year term, and his term is up as of December 31st. He did contact me this week. They did elect him the president of the board this week, so there you go. For Waterville has the president of TARDA. I think we are the smallest community served, or one of the smallest, but hey, it's good. So anyway, I would like to make that motion to keep him on that position.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. That way. All right, getting back to the agenda. Sorry about that. Any other information or unscheduled business for council? All right, we have one more item. So first of all, I made this meeting extra short so we could take an hour to do the roast of our retiring friend up there. I'm gonna make them come down in front there, so in front of everyone. Or maybe on TV, I don't know. Over here. The whole community can see. Well, I'll tell you, this is a big one for me. So our administrator, Mr. Jim Bagdonis, he has been with us 14 years, and I was here when we hired him. I think I was a council member back then. And we were lucky, he came to us at a time we were looking for an administrator, and we had just hired one a couple years before, so it was a tough time in Waterville, trying to find an administrator, sorting through all the people. By chance, Jim Bagdonis was in Perrysburg. He had quite a career there before he even came here, so that was wonderful for Waterville. Perrysburg had already undergone so many things that we have gone through, like annexation and the township versus the city, and on and on. And I gotta say, Jim came to us probably overqualified for what he could do for us. But for some reason, he must have crossed the bridge and fell in love with Waterville. So I don't know. I don't know if he'd ever been over here before. It's Lucas County, but he came over, and we did hire him. And I gotta say, for myself, he did a great job as a council member. I think he worked with quite a few different council people, and we were just very thankful for what he has done for our city. We actually became a city while he was here. We were a very large village. And he helped us. I wouldn't know where to start, how to start, but he is very organized. I can tell you I have learned more about sewers, water system, how a road is built, how a building's built, you name it. I know some of that now, so thanks to my teacher here. So I gotta say that I was in good hands when I came back and became the mayor, because Mr. Bagdonis was able to just hop in and take care of everything. So I think the city of Waterville owes him quite a big thank you. I wanna read his, first I'll give you this beautiful thing, which I think he came up with. It's a cruise piece here with the Waterville logo. So when you look at that in retirement, when you get up, I don't know when you're getting up for sure, but when you get up in the morning, you can set that somewhere so you can think about us. But I have a certificate of commendation. The city of Waterville is pleased to present this certificate to Municipal Administrator James M. Bagdonis, PCPS, in recognition of 14 years of dedicated service to the citizens of Waterville. So we just want to thank you. He's here till January 4th, but this is our last meeting, so we just want to thank you for everything you've done.
Got a few words.
I do have some words.
Never ask an administrator if they have anything.
Well, actually, it's usually the politicians that have most of the words.
So true.
Although I still have a few weeks left before I retire, since this is my last city council meeting, I'd like to make a few comments. And over the past 14 years, it's been my pleasure to work for 3 mayors and 19 members of council. During that time, the village of about 4,800 residents has grown to a city of over 6,000. This shows that people recognize Waterville as a wonderful place to invest in a home and to raise a family. With this growth, we've been able to maintain a high level of city services despite a reduction of 4 employees in the general fund through attrition. The city is fortunate to have a low employee turnover rate, which indicates that it's a great place to work. I've attended more than 280 council meetings and hundreds of board, committee, commission, township trustee, TMCOG, et cetera, meetings. I'd like to mention just a few of the more significant accomplishments that are achieved during my time here. These are not in any particular order, and I would like to emphasize that these are not my personal accomplishments, but the products of a team that I was pleased to be part of, including mayors, council members, department heads, every city employee, and the city's board, committee, and commission members. And I'll just go through the list. This is not all-encompassing, but some of the more significant things. Preparation of a downtown revitalization plan, 2 downtown streetscape projects, including property acquisition and construction of the clock tower building and parking lot. Continuation and expansion of the annexation agreements with Waterville Township. Transition of police and fire dispatching services to new providers. Preparation of a new comprehensive land use plan. Contract water meter reading and significant progress toward a wireless meter reading system. The extension of water lines and sanitary sewers into the Prairie Boulevard area and west of US 24, including service to Fallen Timbers Business Park. Preparation of a water distribution system master plan and sanitary sewer facilities master plan. The acquisition of properties for future Public Square, Memorial Park, Parker Square area, and the preparation of a master plan for future development of the area. Planning for the replacement of the Waterville Bridge and coordinating construction activities with ODOT. Transition from a village to a city. The change of water supply sources, including construction of a new water line under the Maumee River. Restoration of all 3 city elevated water tanks. Numerous annexations of property to the city. The conversion of the former fire station to use by the YMCA and now as a home for the Waterville Play Shop. 14 years of resurfacing projects, our local program. Fair and amicable negotiations with each of the employee unions on the collective bargaining agreements since the first negotiations in 2012. Passage and successful implementation of the Historic Overlay District. Negotiating a lease with the Norfolk Southern Railroad for their railroad right-of-way in the city. Involvement in the creation and ongoing activities of the Waterville Economic Development Corporation. representing the city on various TMACOG boards and councils to obtain several $1 million of federal highway funds for various major street improvement projects over the years, serving as a resource to the law director on various matters, 14 years of balanced budgets without a single employee layoff or an increase in the city income tax rate, consistently applying the city's regulations and policies, utilizing community development block grants for various handicapped accessibility projects, streamlining the Public Works Department's organizational chart, significant progress on the construction of a network of shared use paths within the city, obtaining millions of dollars in Ohio Public Works Commission grants and no-interest loans for various infrastructure projects, helping to make the city of Waterville a place where people want to live and work, 14 years of service with honesty and integrity. One of the greatest pleasures of working for the city has been my good fortune to work with a fantastic group of employees. The citizens of Waterville are very well served by hardworking, knowledgeable, and dedicated personnel. I would like to thank the department heads in particular for being extremely helpful to me with their cooperative team attitude and their professional approach to problem solving. I'm also grateful to the late Mayor Chuck Payton and council members Ann Cherry, Joe Beckler, Lori Brody, Pauline Glaza, and Tim Guzman, who made the decision to hire me in 2004. And last but certainly not least, I would like to thank my wife Sue for her steadfast support and understanding over the years. As I have said before, it has been an honor and a privilege to serve the citizens of Waterville as the last municipal administrator of the village and the first municipal administrator of the city, and I wish the city well. Thank you.
I'll just reiterate a thank you to Jim. As he read off everything that's been done the last 14 years, whew, he deserves retirement. I am tired after hearing that. I just remembered I was on council the whole time he was here, so quite a few projects, except 2 of the years. It's been very busy. So thank you to Jim. I forgot to mention he's a civil engineer. That's why he's so great at all that stuff. But he's done a bang-up job. So it was funny. The scouts were asking what we do here. So you just learned what the administrator does, and it's a big job. But we do appreciate from the family that he was able to come, because we never factor in all the meetings he goes to at night and every place else he had to go. So John, rest up over there. Yeah. But thank you, Jim. We really do thank you for your service. So
thank you. I appreciate it.
I could adjourn you from down there, but all right. So we're at adjournment. We need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Any further comments or anything? I didn't allow that. Mr.
Well,
Pedro?
2 words.
Yes.
Well, maybe more than 2. No, Jim, thank you. You have been a true partner with the city of Waterville, as you just summarized. You've led us in our region, talked to our neighbors, our staff, citizens. You've always been acted in the best interest of Waterville. Thank you.
Anyone else have some comments?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Jim also for always being willing to answer all my questions in particular, but everybody's questions, and always having his finger exactly on the source that we need to have to answer those questions. If it's not in the top of his head, he just knows exactly where to find everything. And certainly, most importantly, and it was one of your comments, Jim, and I think you're exactly right that you have done all you can to make Waterville a terrific place to live and to raise a family. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I've got to thank Jim
Yes.
for hiring me.
Yes.
With council and mayoral blessing after 29 years of fighting him in Perrysburg. On behalf of Perrysburg Township, we had a very good, straightforward, honest relationship, even though we were Muhammad Ali and various opponents at times, and went to the Ohio Supreme Court, among other places, and but we always did things professionally, and personally, we rode a lot of motorcycles together and had a lot of fun.
Thank you, Phil. I would just have to add that the city won most of those battles.
Well, I know, you're supposed to say
But as you mentioned, I think our relationship was always professional. We knew we each had a job to do, and it was out of mutual respect. There was no personal animosity there.
And they've worked great together for Waterville, so we're lucky to have them on the same side at the end here, so. Any other comments? All right, got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, meeting adjourned. Thanks for coming.